Add on that, Anuj, thanks for that. But you know what? The coal shortage issue, at least the global power supply crunch and the India coal shortage issue has been the headline in the last 24 to 48 hours. So we're going to talk about that. Reports indicate that India has been grappling with a coal shortage. Many plants are running low on stockpiles, which have fallen to their lowest level since November 2017. Now, this could lead to power supply constraints, thereby pushing prices higher as well. Now, to discuss what's exactly happening on the ground, Praveer Sinha, the Managing Director and CEO at Tata Power, is joining us now. Mr. Sinha, good morning and thank you so much for being with us on the channel. This is the big headline, both globally as well as locally. So I just wanted you to sort of put some things on board first up. Is there a big coal shortage issue at the moment? And if yes, how does it impact companies like yours?
Good morning, and thank you for having me on the show. I think let's look at the coal shortage and the energy shortage globally and in India in a little different perspective. Globally, the price of oil has gone up, and so is the price of LNG. And they're at all-time high, especially LNG is all-time high. Similarly, the international coal prices is also at all-time high. There has been a huge increase in international coal prices, and that also is impacting the imported coal which comes into India. So there is nearly, I would say, 10 gigawatt of plants which are stranded today because the coal prices are very high and it's not cost remunerative to generate from those plants. So that's 10 gigawatt which has gone out of the network or gone out of the system. Secondly, the plants which were dependent on LNG also are not operating because of the high prices of LNG. And thirdly, I think the domestic coal, typically during monsoon months, because of the flooding of the coal mines, most of them are open cast mines, and also because of the challenge of transportation during monsoon period. We have cyclones in eastern part of India. They impact the movement of coal, and we definitely have shortage in many of the plants. And when I say shortage, it is some places it is 3 to 5 days of stock which is there, so it's virtually hand to mouth that they are. But we have seen that of late the demand has increased with all the industries and commercial establishments back to action. And also because there has been a delayed monsoon, and in some places lesser monsoon, the hot conditions have prevailed over there. And because of that, the usage of energy has gone up. So I think this is more of a temporary phenomenon. Hopefully in next 2 to 4 weeks, things should stabilize. There is a lot of pressure on all the coal companies as well as power companies to generate maximum. And hopefully we should be out of this in next few weeks.
That would be a big relief, Mr. Sinha. I was looking at a CRISIL report, and they were saying that the share of coal-based power shot up in the April to August period, shot up to about 71% of the mix. That's because hydro went down, nuclear went down for other reasons and seasonal factors, etc. But specifically for Tata Power, I guess you're fully backward integrated. So there, I'm assuming there's absolutely no question of a coal shortage for you. In fact, therefore, I wanted to ask you, is there going to be any move of you perhaps selling some of your captive coal to plants that are facing acute shortage?
Well, we don't do any coal mining in India, so we procure coal from the coal companies. And fortunately, all our plants are very close to the coal mines. So we have adequate stock and all our plants are operating at full capacity. So all our domestic coal-based plants are operating at virtually 100% availability. As far as our imported coal is concerned, that's a challenge because the tariff revision that was to happen with the procured states has not happened. And we are not able to run the plant because the under recovery increases drastically. And that is why the plant is not operating. So excepting for the imported coal, rest everything is operating at full capacity.
So if you're saying that the shortage that you're seeing in many plants is a temporary phenomenon and it could take, a couple of weeks to sort of stabilize, what does this do for pricing? Because the last time you told us that coal e-auction prices were at a 40 to 50% premium and likely to stay elevated. What is the expectation over the next couple of weeks?
So on the domestic coal, there is no impact as such. Whatever shortage is there is because on the fuel supply agreements. It's not that the e-auction prices have gone up and that's why the shortage is there. It's primarily because of the ability to mine coal and transport coal under the long-term fuel supply agreements. It's only in the imported coal that because of the prices having gone up so much and the revised PPAs have not been finalized by the beneficiary states, they are not generating. So that's about 10 gigawatt in total capacity compared to the total coal-based, which is nearly 200 gigawatt, which is operating.
Okay, so just to round up the conversation on, the so-called coal shortage and the fear of power supply disruptions, you're saying that's not going to be the case. And, even if there is a short-term spike in merchant power rates, how high could it go? I think yesterday I checked, it was around some 5.5 per unit. How long do you think this may last? And temporarily, how high could spot power prices go?
So the day-ahead market through the exchange is about 6 rupees on an average, but there are periods during the day when it goes up to about 15, 16 rupees, typically in the evening time. So on an average, it's still at 5.5 to 6 rupees. We expect that this will continue at least in the month of October, and thereafter, once the winter starts coming in, I think the pressure will be much less and the requirement of power will also come down.
Okay, that's good to hear. So this is a temporary phenomenon perhaps. Let's move on now to what's happening with the Mundra power plant. There was some talks that, you would be selling power from Mundra outside of the PPA agreements, perhaps on exchanges as well. Where has that reached?
Government of India was supposed to come with a notification under Section 11 of the Electricity Act. That notification is still awaited, whereby the option was that if the coal prices are very high and you are not able to supply based on the existing PPA, you have the opportunity to supply in the exchange, and thereby the exchange prices comes down because that much additional power becomes available. We are told that the Ministry of Power, in consultation with the Law Ministry and others, is finalizing the notification. And I do hope that they will come out with an option which will, in a way, help in putting more quantity of power into the grid and thereby stabilizing the prices of power.
Okay. Mr. Sinha, since we have you with us, must ask you the latest on the renewables front as well. Now, apparently, you have a subsidiary which is Tata Power Solar Systems, but you've taken off from the board any plans of amalgamating that company with yourself. So are you looking to keep it standalone as an entity? What's the kind of fundraising plan? And the moment you say you're going to keep it standalone, the market immediately wants to know, could there be a separate listing of the solar business?
We have shared earlier also that we are examining all options. And since we have a portfolio of renewable business, which is not only the manufacturing and EPC, but also utility scale, rooftop and solar pump, we are definitely looking. One of the options is to integrate all of them and come as a separate entity. At this stage, all the options are being discussed, but there's no decision. We do expect that in next few months, we will take a final call on this, depending upon the market and also the type of portfolio that we will be able to bring. So at the end of the day, we want something which is sustainable in the long run and brings value to our shareholders. And that's what we are looking at.
Are you looking at any fresh equity fundraising for the renewables portfolio?
Well, we definitely look at all options, but nothing immediately is planned.
Okay, all right. Can you give us an update on what's happening with the EV charging infrastructure? Because you do have plans of, currently you have over 500 public chargers in over 100 cities, but you do have plans to increase the infrastructure as well. Any hurdles that you're facing in that program, and what is the latest there?
We are nearly 1,000 now. 600 was when we closed the year in March. And we have plans to aggressively increase it during this financial year. We have very ambitious programs of connecting the north and south of the country and east and west. We've started work on the connection from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, the 3,600 kilometers length, and every 100 kilometers we'll have charging infrastructure so that seamless travel can happen. So also between many cities, we are providing the infrastructure for charging. And we do expect that going forward, we will be able to give seamless travel experience, whether in cities or between twin cities, the opportunity to take your electric vehicle and drive around without any constraint. So, very, very aggressive plans that we have for EV charging infrastructure.
Okay, that's good to hear, Mr. Sinha, considering that state governments want to run entire bus fleets on electric mobility and everybody's looking at electric cars. We do need those charging stations for sure. Thank you for joining in and giving us sort of inputs on the business as well as the overall coal situation and power situation in the country. Quick check on the financials for Tata Power, and it's very interesting over the last couple of years, despite all the ups and downs. On the revenue front, the company's been doing very well. In fact, FY21 was a bit of an outlier year, big shoot up taking place over there. EBITDA has also seen a steady increase, FY21 rounding up with just under 8,000 crores in EBITDA. It's the profitability that's been a bit patchy for one reason or the other, or over the years some impairment charge, extra charge. So profitability hasn't kept up pace with the way EBITDA has risen in a very steady fashion.
Okay, let's do one thing. Let's take a quick break. We are not done with power, coal and all of this just yet, because it is the hot topic of the moment. When we come back, Prashant Jain of JSW Energy and Sumit Kishore of Axis Capital will be joining in to discuss India's renewable energy picture. Stay tuned.